It was his birthday, yet somehow I was the uninvited guest. And as I watched him laugh with her, the woman he swore meant nothing, I realized something chilling. The betrayal didn't break me, it woke me. I should have known the evening would go wrong the moment he told me not to dress too formal. Liam never cared about how I dressed. He always said I could walk into any room and he'd find me first. But that night, his tone was different. Distracted, rushed, almost irritated. Still, I convinced myself I was overthinking. It was his birthday. I wanted the night to be special, even if I had been the one planning it for weeks. I spent the afternoon wrapping his gift. A watch he'd admired for months but refused to buy because he insisted we should save for the future. Funny how he talked about our future, as if it were carved in stone. When I reached the restaurant, a dim-lit place filled with amber lights and quiet music, I noticed right away that something didn't fit. He wasn't at our usual corner table. I scanned the room, clutching the gift bag in my hand, and then I saw him, laughing, relaxed, leaning too close to her. Her, Amber. The woman he reassured me was just a co-worker, the one he avoided mentioning by name whenever I asked how work was. She was dressed like she owned the night. Sleek black dress, effortless confidence, and a smile sharp enough to slice through my chest. I froze where I stood, my world narrowing until the only thing I could hear was the faint sound of his laughter blending with the clinking glasses. He hadn't seen me yet, so I watched him. Really watched him. The way he leaned in when she spoke, the way his hand brushed hers like it wasn't their first time, the way he looked at her, not like a man with a secret, but like a man who didn't even care to hide. I forced my trembling legs to move. Every step felt heavier than the last. By the time I reached their table, I had perfected a smile. A tired, tight-lipped smile that hid the storm, ripping through me. "Happy birthday," I said softly. The way Liam's face dropped, that was my confirmation. He wasn't surprised. He was caught. "Oh, hey," he said, clearing his throat. "You're early." "I'm on time," I replied, my voice calmer than I felt. Amber didn't even look guilty. She just raised her glass, slightly, and gave me the kind of smile people give when they've already won the game. I didn't acknowledge it. I kept my eyes on the man who once claimed he couldn't imagine a future without me. We're just talking about work," Liam stammered. "On your birthday?" I asked. "In this place? With her dressed like that?" He flinched. Amber didn't. There was a silence so thick it pressed against my skin, the kind that reveals everything words try to hide. I could have screamed. I could have demanded an explanation. I could have caused a scene. But instead, something inside me began to steady. I remembered every time he canceled plans last minute, every time he guarded his phone, every time he came home smelling like a perfume that wasn't mine, every time he said I was imagining things. The gift bag felt like a weight in my hand. I placed it on the table, gently. "This was for you," I said, "but I think you've already received your real present." He winced, and for a moment I saw panic flicker across his face. Not the panic of a man losing the person he loved, but the panic of someone who had been exposed. "Wait, Maya, don't be dramatic," he said, reaching for my hand. I stepped back. He froze. That was the first moment he understood that something in me had changed. "I'm not being dramatic," I whispered. "I'm done." He opened his mouth to speak, probably to defend himself, but Amber gently touched his arm as if urging him not to bother. That touch, small, smug, careless, was the final shove I needed. I turned to leave, my heart beat loud but my footsteps quiet. I didn't cry. I didn't break. I didn't look back. I walked out of the restaurant feeling like I had left a version of myself behind, the version that tolerated half love and half truths. The version that believed his promises even when his actions betrayed every single one. Outside, the night air felt colder, sharper, almost cleansing. I stood under the street lamp, my breath forming soft clouds, and for the first time in months, I let myself feel the truth fully. I hadn't lost him. I had been losing myself with him. My phone buzzed with his messages. First explanations, then pleas, then anger. All predictable. I didn't respond. I realized then that my silence was louder than anything I could have said. Silence has a way of forcing the other person to sit with the truth they created. I took a slow breath and walked toward the car, each step fueled by something I hadn't felt in a long time, clarity. That night wasn't just the end of something. It was the beginning of a shift I didn't yet understand, a shift that would eventually lead to his fall. Because when a man builds his world on lies, he never expects the quiet woman walking away to be the one who brings it crashing down. And I didn't have to break him. Life would do it for me. All I had to do was step out of the way. But I didn't know then that stepping away from him would lead me straight toward the truth that would expose everything he tried to hide. The truth that would put him on his knees begging for a second chance he would never get. And all it took was that one quiet walk out of the restaurant. He thought I disappeared quietly, that I'd stay silent forever. But the truth has its own timing, and when it finally arrived, it didn't knock. It crashed into his perfect little world and tore it apart piece by piece. The morning after I walked out of the restaurant, everything felt strangely still, as if the universe itself had paused to let me breathe again. My apartment was quiet, sunlight spilling softly across the floor, untouched by the chaos he had brought into my life. For the first time in years, I woke. Without waiting for a text from him, without bracing myself for another excuse, another half-truth wrapped in tenderness. My heart hurt, yes, but the ache wasn't desperation, it was release. It was the slow unfurling of freedom I didn't know I'd been craving. But while I was rebuilding myself, Liam was unraveling, though I didn't know that yet. I went to work trying to focus on anything other than last night. But betrayal has a way of echoing through your thoughts, at the most inconvenient moments. When I sat at my desk, the events replayed like a movie with no pause button. His laughter with her, the way he looked at me as if I had interrupted something meaningful. Yet beneath the humiliation, something stronger had taken root. A resolve, a fire, a quiet but unshakable determination to reclaim my life. Around noon, my coworker Sophie leaned over the divider, concern softening her features. "You look like you didn't sleep. Everything okay?" I opened my mouth to speak, but that's when my phone vibrated. Again, and again, and again. 23 missed calls, 9 voicemails, dozens of messages, all from Liam. My heart didn't race. Instead, something inside me hardened. Yesterday's version of me would have listened to every voicemail, searching for closure or comfort. Today's version of me didn't need either. I silenced my phone and slipped it into my drawer. But the universe wasn't done sending reminders. 2 hours later, a message popped up on our office group chat. Someone had forwarded a video from a mutual friend's birthday post. I wasn't prepared for what I saw. It was a short clip of the restaurant from last night, filmed by someone sitting nearby. In it, Liam leaned across the table toward Amber, hand grazing hers, whispering something that made her smile. And then, a few seconds later, there I was, appearing in the background, walking toward them, the look on my face raw and real. People began commenting, unaware of what they were witnessing. "That's cold. Isn't that his girlfriend? Wow. Shameless." I felt heat creep up my neck, not from embarrassment, but from the sudden understanding that the truth was unfolding without me having to lift a finger. The world was already watching. Life was already speaking. I closed the video gently, exhaling long and slow. Later that evening, I headed home, exhausted but strangely peaceful. The sun was low, turning the sky shades of gold and rose. I reached my apartment door, turned the key and stepped in, only to find someone sitting on the hallway floor back against my door. Liam. His hair was messy, eyes red, shirt wrinkled like he hadn't gone home. He shot up the moment he heard the door unlock, desperation etched so deeply on his face it almost startled me. "Maya. Please," he whispered, voice cracking like a man who'd run out of lies. I didn't step back. I didn't soften. I just watched him. "I made a mistake," he said. "A stupid, drunken mistake. It meant nothing. Amber meant nothing, I swear." I folded my arms. "You didn't look drunk." He blinked, caught off guard. "It wasn't what it looked like." "That's the problem," I replied quietly. It was exactly what it looked like. He ran both hands through his hair. "I should have told you. I was confused. She was just someone who listened. Work has been stressful and..." I cut him off. "So you celebrated your stress by choosing her on your birthday?" He flinched like I'd struck him. Maya, I need you. We can fix this. Don't throw us away. I stepped past him into the apartment. He followed, but I held up a hand. No, you don't get to enter this space anymore. He froze, staring at the invisible line I had drawn between us. You think leaving quietly means I didn't care? I said softly. No, Liam. It means I cared about myself more. He swallowed hard, lips trembling, but I continued. You built your world on lies, and you expected me to live in it. I refused. He reached into his pocket, pulling out the watch I had bought him. The one he hadn't opened at the restaurant. I don't want this if you're not with me. I stared at the watch, my time he had taken for granted. Then I shook my head. Keep it, I said. Let it remind you of what you lost. A tear slipped down his cheek. Please don't do this, I'm begging you. I closed my eyes, steadying myself. His fall had begun, not because of me, but because truth always arrives, whether someone is ready or not. Liam, I said, you didn't lose me yesterday. You lost me the first time you lied and assumed I wouldn't notice. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. And the saddest part? I added. You didn't just cheat on me. You cheated on the life we were building. He collapsed onto his knees, broken in a way I had never seen, and I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not revenge, just clarity. You always said my silence scared you, I whispered. Now I understand why. He lifted his head, eyes pleading. What do you want me to do? Nothing, I said gently. There's nothing left to fix, and then I closed the door. His muffled sobs echoed on the other side for a long time, but I didn't open it again. In the quiet that followed, I felt peace settle into my bones, not because he was suffering, but because I had finally chosen myself. Over the next days, the truth kept unfolding. More people saw the video. His boss heard about the situation. Amber's boyfriend found out. Their perfect little illusion cracked from every side. And I didn't have to say a word. I had walked away quietly, but my silence became the beginning of his fall, and the beginning of my rise.